meet you. How are you?
It's good to meet you too. I'm actually doing well. Did you see all the snow outside?
Oh my gosh, yes, I did. I slipped about every 5 steps. Like it's so slick out there. But how was your travel?
Not too bad actually. My mom dropped me off here today, so I had an excuse to take a break from homework. So I'm actually very happy to be here.
Oh, that's sweet of her. I'm not sure if you're like a sweater kind of girl, but I definitely put on my coziest one for today.
I know it doesn't look like it, but this is probably my coziest sweatshirt that I own. My grandma gave it to me for Christmas last year.
Oh my gosh, it's almost that time of year again. I already got my Christmas tree up.
Me too. I'm literally so excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, thank you for coming despite the cold. I know you talked about it in a bit in like the form that you filled out. So could you remind me like what brings you here today?
Yeah, so I've noticed that recently I feel like really tired, like all the time. And I also noticed that I'm really struggling to pick up any new skills in my sport. And I'm wondering if I'm just not getting enough protein. And I take my multivitamin every day, but it hasn't really helped much.
Yeah, so you're noticing like some decreased sports performance and fatigue, which I imagine that's a bit frustrating.
Yes.
But I took a look at your intake form, which I appreciate you filling out. So did you have any problems filling that out at all? Or?
Not really. I definitely had to ask my mom though when my surgery was for my fracture. But other than that, it really wasn't too bad.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to hear it wasn't too difficult. Yeah, I'd actually like to review like a few points together with you and like ask some clarifying questions. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. So you did a really great job filling everything out, first of all. It looks like your iron, calcium, and vitamin D's were a bit low today. And you're not currently on any supplements except for daily multivitamin. You also have a severe dairy allergy, but otherwise your only dietary restriction is just being a vegan. So just to clarify, like, does that all sound good? And have you always been a vegan?
Yeah, so some of my teammates, they're actually talking about how they tried the vegan diet and they had so much more energy and they noticed a lot of improvements in like their skills. So I just kind of wanted to give it a shot myself, and I started probably like 7 months ago.
Okay, yeah, and how has that been?
It's been okay, but it was definitely really tough to figure out what I can and can't eat. I also don't really know what to eat sometimes, and I can tell my performance is actually worsening rather than improving because of it. So I just feel like I'm probably just doing it all wrong.
Yeah, working or making a whole dietary change is a big deal, and definitely not for the faint of heart. And many girls don't even know what the word vegan is at your age. So.
I guess that's true. I should not be so hard on myself.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also saw you mentioned like the fracture in your tibia at the start of this year. So was that the first time you've ever had a fracture, or have you had any bone-related issues other than that?
I think I remember having a stress fracture due to overuse, but I didn't really give it enough time to totally heal before returning to gymnastics. And I landed wrong during one of my flips and ended up having a complete break, and then I had to get surgery. But other than that, I haven't had any issues.
Oh my gosh, thank you for elaborating on all of that. Yeah, that was crazy. I know sometimes like just like knowing how things started too can actually reveal a lot of the underlying micronutrient deficiencies. But the last thing I wanted to clarify with you is just some of your weight loss behavior. You indicated that sometimes you intentionally lose weight and lost a few pounds within the past few months. So how did you go about that?
I don't think I've been in the best headspace recently, and I was just kind of trying to slim down a bit, and because of people, they made comments about my body, so I was kind of restricting, and I've been avoiding those high-calorie foods and desserts, but I wouldn't say it's anything too extreme. I know some of my teammates struggle with binging and making themselves sick, but luckily that's not a big thing for me. I've tried vomiting a few times before, but I really hated it.
Yeah, wow, it sounds like you're under a lot of pressure from those around you, and it's been taking a bit of a toll on your mental and physical health. I know it's really tempting to kind of buy into that idea that image is more important than your health, but the fact that you're here today shows me that you're already starting to change your mind a bit.
Yeah, I've been really worried about my physical health lately, and I figured it was finally time to see someone about it, because at the end of the day, I'm just tired and miserable all the time, so it's not really worth it.
Yeah, that's true. And Well, I'd like to talk about what the nutrition counseling process will look like and just outline a bit of what to expect. But do you know about nutrition counseling?
I honestly don't know a whole lot except that I talk about my nutrition struggles and get some advice on like how to achieve goals. But other than that, I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so you're absolutely right that we'll work together on achieving your goals. As you use some just evidence-based practice to help guide you. But you know, it's always your decision at the end of the day. And then the general outline, it involves an assessment of just your current dietary habits and health status, which is a little bit with the intake form. But then that's followed by some of the some realistic and achievable goals, give some education, provide resources, just to excel at your goals. And then we'll continue to meet as I monitor your growth and progress and just making adjustments as needed. How does that sound?
Sounds great to me.
Cool. Yeah. So what are some of your main goals that you want to achieve through nutrition counseling? And this can be any nutrition related goals that impact your intake, including mental behaviors or actions surrounding food.
I guess I just want to feel stronger again and correct some of my deficiencies. I feel like I just don't know how to do that, which is kind of why I decided to book this appointment.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great goal to have. Like, you know, getting your iron and vitamin D levels up, it's really going to help you feel more of that energy. And especially with that increased calcium, you should notice a good improvement in those achy bones too. And we can definitely cover some tips on how to achieve that with a vegan diet towards the end of our session. But looking at your current diet, have you ever done a 24-hour recall?
Nope. I've only done the one intake assessment form.
Okay, yeah. How did that go? Like, did you have any difficulty recording what you take?
It was hard to remember exactly what I ate and when, but I think I got everything down right. I probably could have been more specific on some things like my salad and sandwich, but my mom packs my lunches and she usually doesn't measure anything. So why exactly do you need the 24-hour recall?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So it actually helps me see what a realistic day of eating looks like for you. And also know like what kind of foods you're used to, and helps me see like, okay, what groups are sufficient and what ones are more lacking. Ideally, I would record like a whole week of meals to get just like a better picture, but even just one day can be really helpful for getting an idea.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and no worries about being exact. What's more important is that just get the general picture, and it seems like you did a really great job getting like those fruits, those veggies, whole grains, a bit of added protein, especially before your workout. Though I'd like to see a little bit more protein throughout the day, and a little bit more calcium and iron-rich foods. It might explain some of those symptoms you're experiencing. And I also noticed a lot of like sugar-free options even during your practice. So what do you think are like some of the pros and cons of continuing to eat this way?
I think the pros would be that I can keep my weight down and I don't really have to worry as much about other people commenting on my body or worry as much how I'll look in like a leotard, but the cons are that my energy will probably stay low and I might get more stress fractures in the future. And I know it's going to be bad for my health, but I can tell I'm not really gaining any more muscle. So if anything, I've been losing muscle instead.
Yeah, what do you think your future may look like to change by like incorporating more of those foods in your diet and like taking in the calories you need for fuel?
Honestly, I'm afraid of gaining weight. I got a lot more compliments on my physique in the gym when I started eating this way, and I know that will probably go away, but I would probably feel a lot more energy to concentrate at school and get through practice.
Yeah, like other than just compliments you get or don't get, like do you think there's any risk to your relationships if you stay this way or change?
It'd be kind of hard for me, but my family has been really worried about me lately, and I know a few of my close friends have also really encouraged me to get some help too. So I think they will be really proud of me making this change. And I know my coach would also be happy if I could start gaining more muscle and improve more of my skills.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not going to be an easy battle, but it sounds to me like you have a lot of reasons to consider this new behavior. If you had to rate your readiness to change on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being absolutely not ready and 10 being like incredibly ready, how would you rate yourself right now?
I'd probably rate myself a 7. I really just want to make this change, but I can't help but feel a bit scared of looking fat. And I feel like it's just going to take time, but I do know it's necessary.
Yeah, and it's okay to be a bit hesitant towards change and know that this decision is completely yours to make, not your friends, not your family or coach. And it sounds to me like you're authentically contemplating this and like ready to take action. And it seems like you really recognize that need to change, but just have some obstacles that make it difficult. Does that sound about right?
Yes, I'd say that's a good way to describe how I'm feeling. I mean, I truly do want to change, don't get me wrong, but I'm also struggling to get past those like mental blocks that I have.
Yeah.
And I don't mind adding in the nutrients I need, but I still feel conflicted about increasing my calorie intake if I have to be honest.
Yeah, thank you for being honest with me too, and that's absolutely okay. Sounds like you might even be further along in readiness towards those like vitamins and minerals, than in increasing like the calorie, the protein, and that's totally okay. Like, have you ever heard of the stages of change before?
Not really. What is that?
Yeah, so there's 6 stages that we go through in the process of making a change. So that includes pre-contemplation, then it moves on to contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and termination. And without going too deep into it, it just sounds like you're definitely in like stage 3 preparation when it comes to those like, like your vitamin D, your calcium and iron, and just like getting those in. And you seem to see like a lot of the pros outweighing the cons with that, but there also seems to be a lot more hesitancy towards adding calories and a bit stuck in that state of contemplating regarding that calorie intake. Does that sound about right?
Yes, sounds about right. I think planning the next steps would be really helpful so I know where to start because right now I'm just not sure how.
Yeah, and absolutely, like focusing on meeting those micronutrients needs, like what have been some barriers that's contributed to these deficiencies?
I think having a dairy allergy, it's always been challenging for me to get like my calcium and vitamin D in. And I know there's some alternatives like almond milk, but I just don't really like the flavor a whole lot. Are there any other ways I can get those nutrients without having to take a supplement?
Yeah, that's a good question. Calcium and vitamin D are really important for keeping your bones healthy, and there's lots of dairy-free alternatives, such as like oat milk, cashew milk, soy milk, peanut milk, macadamia milk, and more. There's even something called pea milk, which like made from peas, and that can pack in a bit more protein than some of the other options, which might be nice for your muscle recovery since you mentioned experience a lot of muscle soreness. But you can sneak any of these options into something like a morning bowl of fortified cereal or oatmeal, even just throwing it into a smoothie. But have you ever tried some of those?
Actually, no. I just know my family buys a lot of almond milk, so that's pretty much all I've ever tried. But I've heard of pea protein, but not pea milk before, so that's very interesting.
Yeah, I know it's actually more of a recent thing. But is there something that you think you could incorporate more of these milks into?
I've always wanted to try drinking more smoothies, so maybe I could use a smoothie with like nut milk or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Like you can even throw in some iron-rich sources like spinach or seeds like almonds and cashews. But yeah, and then touching base on some of those calorie and protein needs, would you like some options or advice on that, or is that something you need time on?
I feel like when it comes to calorie needs, I'd rather just kind of focus on protein needs right now. I feel like just focusing on that would be really helpful.
Okay, yeah, like increasing your protein is a great way to like healthfully increase those calories too. Just and based on your weight and activity level, it looks like you should be aiming for about 50 grams of protein a day. And since you're an athlete, I think it might help if we talk about protein in terms of fuel. So you're breaking down your muscle a lot with each workout, and adequate energy and protein is needed for repairing that and making them stronger. And so what's like something that's made it difficult getting the protein you need as a vegan?
That's a great point. I haven't really been thinking about it that way. And I'm always so focused on how I look that I forget that my body needs fuel if I want to improve. I think I'm just lost when it comes to finding protein sources that aren't animal-based.
Okay, so Would you like me to throw out a couple options for you?
Yes, that would be super helpful.
Okay, yeah, there's some great protein sources that are vegan friendly, that can pack in that protein and micronutrients that you're lacking. I've noticed in your intake form as well that you use protein powder, which is a great supplement for some extra protein, vitamins and minerals. But yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I actually just recently started adding that to my breakfast bowl of oatmeal because one of my friends recommended it.
That's a great addition to your breakfast. And when it comes to protein, it's really helpful to spread it throughout the day to maximize your body's ability to utilize the protein. But one classic example you could add is like tofu. Have you ever tried it before?
I've definitely had tofu before, but I've only tried it like once or twice.
Yeah.
But I love to cook with my mom, so I'm sure we could find some good recipes.
Oh yeah. And cool thing with tofu too is that not only does it like pack in that protein that will help you recover from your workouts, but it also has some of that iron and that calcium that will help too. But yeah, there's plenty of plant-based meats that are also available in like grocery stores. You can just add it to about any dish. And but yeah, it sounds like your mom may be a really great support for you. Is there a specific way that you might be able to bring her into this process?
I agree. I think communicating that I need to increase my protein intake throughout the day and buy varieties of plant milk, like the pea milk that you mentioned, because she's the main one who does the shopping in our house. I would also like to cook more meals with my mom, so maybe we can look at some of those recipes.
Yeah, I love that you two cook together. And I think that looking at these things together could be really effective, and she could even hold you accountable on this. But what is like a small step towards change you'd like to make next week?
I think one small step I can take is to make sure I buy some tofu with my mom this week and incorporate it into some meals like breakfast or dinner, and also try out a new plant-based milk and practice putting it in smoothies or cereals.
Yeah, those are some great goals, and I think small steps at a time can be really helpful. So how about we break this down into maybe just like 2 very specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals, some SMART goals. What do you think?
Yes, that sounds good. I definitely don't want to overload myself and stress myself out with too much change at once.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's something really small and specific but achievable that you might be able to do this week just to help get in that extra protein and help your muscles recover?
What's some examples that you've used before?
So some examples could just like include just journaling your intake and just like where that protein's coming from, or just choosing a certain number of meals to incorporate your plant proteins into, or even just meal planning.
Yeah, so since this is a bit new for me, maybe my goal this week could be just like pick out 3 meals to try a plant-based protein with my family, and I can work up from there in the future. So that way if I miss a day, I can just try it the next day, as long as I hit at least 3.
Yeah, that's a great goal. I think it gives a lot of flexibility too. It's not too intimidating. And remember, this is just your first week, so change takes time, and it's okay to take it slow and just be patient with yourself.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And what's something small you could do this week to work on increasing your some of your micronutrients like calcium, vitamin D, and iron levels? And remember, some of those plant-based milks and meat alternatives, as well as like fortified cereals, can be great sources.
I think something small I can do this week is maybe try a new plant-based milk and incorporate it like each morning, whether it's like cereal, oatmeal, smoothies, or whatever. And this goal, along with my other goal of hitting my protein needs, should hopefully be a good start in getting my levels up.
Oh yeah, exploring your options is really a great goal to start. And okay, so to clarify, your first goal is to incorporate a plant-based protein for 3 meals this week, and then your second goal was to incorporate a new plant-based milk this week and just see how you like it using it in each of your breakfasts. Does that sound right?
Yes, it sounds like a plan.
Yes, awesome. So I'd like to go over everything we talked about today, just so you don't feel completely lost. So I know these sessions can be a lot, so but you did a fantastic job, and I really appreciate your honesty throughout this whole session. So I understand that you've been struggling with a tendency to kind of restrict your eating, and it's and made some moderately recent dietary changes. It's been struggling, and you've been struggling with like how to meet those micronutrient protein needs.
Yeah.
And then you also have a dairy allergy
Yeah.
that makes your micronutrient protein needs a little bit harder. But I've noticed, honestly, in just even one session, like you seem a lot less scared of incorporating some of these foods into your
definitely.
diet. And I think you're on your way to taking action, especially with your mom is like a huge support to this. So, but yeah, I think adding more of those plant-based proteins and milks will really help you feel stronger and more energetic and increase that performance. And even feel free to journal some of these patterns this week.
For sure. Thank you for all your help. I think I can finally see myself getting out of this rut of low energy. And I appreciate the advice so much, and I look forward to trying these tips out this week.
Awesome, great. Yeah, I know you're gonna crush it. But yeah, it was lovely meeting you. See you next week.
Yay!
Yay. Oh my gosh.
How long was it?
20